Hello and welcome back to the Game Informer Show. I'm your host, Andy McNamara, still here. We still have Matt Burns, we still have JV. We have brought in Jeff Cork. How are you doing?
Serial lassoer.
Serial
and prankster.
Yep. So, yeah.
Jerk.
Lasso's the best thing.
So we are going to talk about Red Dead Redemption 2 Online. I don't know if does it have a
Red Dead Online?
Red Dawn Online, is that we know
Red
that?
Dead
Red Dawn Online?
Red Dawn? Red Dawn?
I'd also play Red Dawn Online.
It's Red Dawn?
Yeah.
Which I came in this morning to... I went over to Jeff's desk and I was like, oh, so you're trying to join the pies? He goes, I'm trying. And I was like, oh, okay. So what are you doing? He goes like, I lassoed JV and it made him really mad and he shot me. And I was like, that's one way to do it.
Yeah.
And then he walked up and goes like, oh, there's JV again. Walked up, lassoed him again.
Yeah.
And he goes like, he's probably going to shoot me.
Yeah.
And then JV got off his horse, shot him in the face again. And then I walked into the room. I was like, JV, he said you'd do that.
Yeah.
And,
That's Cork's hello.
You build your own story.
He did the same thing to me yesterday, except he tied me up, he put me on my horse, and then he shot his gun so the horse rode off.
In my defense I have no defense with you, Bert, so I apologize. For JV, though, he was trying to pick up the deer, and he would pick it up, and Red Dead's got some fairly slow animation, so he's like picking it up, and then it's like lasso him, and then he falls onto the ground, the deer falls down. It's very funny. The second time,
That's
especially.
a good defense?
Yeah.
That's your defense?
Yeah, it's funny.
I don't feel bad about shooting you.
All right.
Okay, so this launched this week, the beta, which we were like, I wonder if it's still going to happen in November, like they said. Then all of a sudden, the day before, they said, coming tomorrow.
Yep.
And it's been a limited release, I think, to people with Ultimate and kind of working its way to other...
Friday everybody has access.
Friday everybody has access. So the day after this show. So it's why don't you give us the kind of like general like vibe of what it's all about, and we'll go from there. I mean, obviously, I guess we gave a little bit of taste there, but
well, it is. It's mayhem. It's absolute mayhem. The first things that I found interesting is like there is like a good narrative lead in that sets a new story. You create your character. You can choose what kind of teeth you have, which is really interesting.
Can you choose no teeth?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that one costs a lot of money.
It's called the gummer.
Yeah.
Yeah, the tooth options are basically the presence or absence of teeth.
Yeah, and
it just falls
in varying
down.
degrees.
Yeah.
It's really funny. I really like the character customization. Is like you're not going to be a handsome fella. Like they have all these weird complexions and like terrible haircuts.
GTAO had the same thing. Like
Yeah.
it's a really good character creator for if you don't want to make someone who's handsome.
Yeah, for caricatures, basically.
I assume male and female?
Yep, of course.
Okay,
Yep.
well, some people would say not, of course, always, but yes.
I think my whole posse.
I think your
besides
whole
me
posse is women, right?
Yeah, you guys are all women, I think.
Well, Fava's making his character. Kyle's making his. He's made a woman. Fava's making a male who, at this point, is looking a lot like Ben Franklin.
I'm into
Oh,
it.
and then there's creepy Joe Juba, who
just made himself. Joe just made himself.
and he doesn't wear shirts.
With or without
It's
teeth?
disgusting.
Ugh.
It's the worst. It looks like if Joe was in a David Cage game. It's terrible. Sorry, Joe.
But so, yeah, this is what Red Dead Online is honestly about. There's a lot of stuff to do, but like the most fun you're gonna have in this game is goofing off with your friends, deciding to just kill everybody in Saint Denis, and wreak general havoc. Like this is a great engine for those kind of emergent moments.
Okay, so you
It's
make
so
your character,
good.
you head out into the world. Obviously, you do a lot of things that you did in the single player game.
Yep.
So how big? I mean, it's the whole map.
Whole map.
But how many people are in that world? How do you encounter other players? What defines that player map?
So there's a total, I don't know what the actual count is, but you see a lot of characters on the map all the time doing whatever they're doing. And there's still NPCs, but there's dramatically less number of them. Mm-hmm. Like we can walk into bars that are, packed to the gills in the single player game, and there's just the piano player and the bartender, and you're like, wait a minute.
So they want the world to be filled with players.
Well, yeah, but I think there's concessions you have to make to bring all these other players in, you know what I mean? And you see it scale differently. I don't know if they have some sort of server technology, because I've been in Saint Denis where it looks really busy for a second, and then I go back and there's almost no one there, and it's the same time of day kind of thing. And the same thing happens in the wilderness. A lot of times I'll be surrounded by flora and fauna, and then I'm going through the area later, and it's like, well, there's literally no animals anywhere. So I don't know if that stuff's scaling in and out as you're playing it.
Yeah, I was wondering too. I was thinking about it, and I haven't got a chance to look at it yet, but I was wondering if they're going to use some kind of like instancing of hopping you around from server to server to kind of like when you are So other people are in this area. They would take all the people in that area and kind of start to stack them on top
There's a
of
blended
themselves.
thing that's happening. I don't have all the details, but I was talking to someone from Rockstar about it, and there is a technology in place to make the world feel a little bit more full.
Yeah. And then you like whoever you group with would be constant, right? Like you would be moving in and out. So those kind of
the way it
server
sets
hops.
up is you can start off and you can make a temporary posse, and that's only 4 people. And the 4 people's key because a lot of the free roam missions and the story missions allow you to play cooperatively. But after you make a lot of money, $200, you can form your permanent posse and name it and have permanent members. And that's where like you get a bigger camp. And we're going to roll out this afternoon with 7 people and see what kind of trouble we can get into.
I'm sure there will be plenty of trouble that you get yourself into.
Well, when you're in a posse, friendly fire is off. So
well, you can turn it off. And
you can turn it on?
Yeah, I can turn it.
Yeah, and
Please
there are ways to kill your posse mates if you have friendly fire turned on. For
Okay.
example, we took a plantation house, and poor Bert's walked into a room filled with dynamite, and I saw him do it, and I just I couldn't. Like, he was right there standing next to the box of dynamite, so I shot it, and he died horribly.
Also, Leo's horse, Leo was on the back of my horse, and he whistled for his horse to come, and we were shooting at a stagecoach or a carriage, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this horse runs and just T-bones me, and I die instantly. So there are ways you can still kill people, even when friendly fire is.
So is there so the goal then is money, right? Is it money and build up your camp? I mean that's your like sustaining your society.
Well, there's a story story missions, right? That it's not complete yet, right? Like it's just
No, it's something they're going to keep building
Yeah.
on. There is a narrative of like you getting out of prison and meeting this lady who wants revenge on these people and blah blah blah, and like that is rolling out. And at the same time, there's all these. They're I wouldn't say they're stories, but they're monologues, I guess is what I would call them. The free roam missions, you're running into characters from Red Dead and Red Dead 2 in the world that give you missions to do. And your character doesn't speak, which, that's one of the things I miss the most is just being able to talk to everybody that you walk past and all that kind of stuff. So they just talk at you and they give you a spiel.
Yeah, and they always have like this weird acknowledgement too of you being a mute. They're just like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you don't like to talk, huh?
Gotcha. All right.
Are you dumb?" Or
it's
something
especially
like that.
weird when you're trying to calm your horse down and you just go, which is
You're just the animal whisperer.
Yeah.
But you don't even whisper.
Yeah. But the long game is like build up your arsenal. You can upgrade your camp. It's a different camp than, there's different sizes of it. And there's a guy that stays in your camp called Crips. He's not related to the Compton-based gang or anything, but he's there, and you can even change his outfits and stuff. But the most striking change from going from single player to the online is the currency. I mean, you loot tons of bodies when you're in the single player campaign. You're like, oh, I just got like $15-20. That's awesome. You're lucky when you get like 80 cents out of a body.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
It's you get way less money, and you really feel sort of the maintenance of the experience right now, because you have camp upkeep, you have stable upkeep. You need to buy all the provisions because you're not finding a ton of horse tonics and canned food and all the stuff that you use to fuel you and your horse. So you have to spend money on that stuff. So like there's this real like tug of war that's going on between what you're making and what you have to spend just to keep going.
It feels like, honestly, every combat encounter you have, you're lucky to break even in terms of like ammo expenditure. Like, oh, I made back enough money to maybe buy the ammo.
If you won.
Yeah, if you won.
Yeah.
Like it's not great.
And there are things where you get more money, you're in treasure maps as you go up, and that's usually a big reward, and you're like, oh, I finally have some money to spend. Yeah. But, like, I think about why they did this, and it's jarring at first, but I'm starting to see, like, there's a lot of stuff gated by levels that you can buy, and they're expensive, but it's going to take you a while to get there. I think this is all lengthening out. You need content in your game, as we were talking about with Destiny earlier, like, you get to the end and then you're like, well, now I don't have anything to buy, and you need to create enough runway for you to, build more stuff to eventually drop into the game. And it feels like it's very intentional to like kind of pad that experience out.
Yeah. So, and are there like classic multiplayer modes?
Yep. There's adversary modes like any Rockstar game where you can run around and shoot guys.
And you would choose those from the world, or you pick that from the menu?
Both.
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 Yeah.
Okay.
There's little signposts where you can jump into instances. There's free roam, kind of live missions that are out there that you can opt into, and then you can go to the menu system and just get onto playlists if you just want to play team deathmatch or just want to do races and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. So do you get to pick where your camp is? Are the camps like kind of preset, or do you work as a group?
You can move it around. Everything costs money. It costs money to set up your camp and maintain it. It costs money to move it. But you can put it in any kind of part of the world that you want to be in.
And when you say it costs money, there are 2 different levels of currency also, right? There's like the gold bars.
Yes.
And then also, those are used for like cosmetic type things. And then you've also got just the good old American dollar.
So the gold bar is going to be the shark card for this game. You can't buy any of it now, but they're clearly creating that storefront.
Yeah.
That stuff you earn incrementally as you go on, and it allows you to do a couple things. You can buy, there's some cosmetics that you can only get with that stuff. There's horses you can only get with that stuff. But it also allows you to kind of like unlock stuff you're not at the level to unlock yet to buy with your regular money. So it's got a couple different methods of application.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because like the bow is
It's $124.
And you have
level
to
10?
beat level 10. Yeah, so it's...
The fishing rod's level 14.
Yeah.
Which, I was really annoyed by, but I played all day yesterday. I played some this morning. I'm almost there already.
Okay.
So it feels long at the beginning, but as you're playing through and getting your feet wet in this new experience, you actually get there pretty quick.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I know GTA 5 had a lot of things where like people literally created their own gangs, you know what I mean, and things like that they would use to roam and rule the world, right? And I feel that this is the same door is open to do this in Red Dead.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of that stuff's not in yet, but you can see where they're building.
Yeah, the
with your
roots are
posse.
here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you can't rob banks right now. We've tried to walk into banks at all hours of day, and they're just not available yet. You can't rob, like storefronts like you could. That was one of the main things you did in GTA Online at the beginning. It's like, I can just walk into a 7-Eleven and hold this guy up and get money.
You can't really even rob NPCs.
Yeah,
because
the
you can't
rob
interact with
option.
them. Yeah.
The rob option is not there. I mean, you can kill them and take the money, but
You can emote at them.
yes.
So, I mean, like right now, a lot of the thing is just maybe you shoot someone you encounter in the world, but mostly just collecting skins, fishing, trying to just build up that camp. I mean,
And
is that what
there's a ton of those side missions.
Yeah.
where
Oh,
you're-
just those side missions. So just sticking to the story missions and
ton
doing
of
it
those,
because
yeah.
okay,
which
gotcha.
are actually interesting. I feel like one of them is a caravan transportation thing where you have to guide these carts from one town to another, and other players can invade when you do that.
Oh, okay,
it's not
gotcha.
the whole map. It's just specially designated players. So you might come across some players who want to take your caravan, or you might just fight AI enemies. I feel like it's a cool...
Oh, so it will fill in. Like,
Yeah,
if
it'll
you're,
fill
if you're
it.
doing okay,
but
all
there will
right,
always be AI enemies there.
Okay,
It's not
gotcha.
dependent on like, oh, I'm just going to sit here for 10 minutes and no
and
one's
hope
going to...
someone comes. Yeah.
Yeah, no, like, and I feel like that's a great system.
Yeah.
Like giving incentive to a couple of players, because if you do that, because I was on the flip side of that, the rewards are much bigger. Like I got like $15 or $20 for stealing a player's bag of money and delivering it instead of them, which is much more than like if you just complete the mission.
Yeah.
So
If you
there's
do
like
the
a
mission, you usually get like $4 or something.
Like it's a big upgrade in terms of like how much money you make.
So it's encouraging.
aggression.
Yeah. All right. Gotcha. That's good. That's
And
cool.
we should note the passive system is gone right now. They're like, it's a free for all. So I mean,
Unless you're at your camp.
yeah, at your camp you can raise a white flag that protects your camp, so people can't just come in there and rain on your parade. But I mean, if you're out there fishing or hunting and somebody drives past, that you're free game for them.
Yeah, the only sanctuary you really get out in the wild is if you're in town and you're talking to like a shopkeeper or like interacting with someone, they can't shoot you. But that's it.
The question I have is, talk to me about the relationship that you have with your horse in this, because in GTA Online, like you've got your car and you can have insurance on it and everything, but I mean, like horses are so fragile, where you could like one-shot someone's horse pretty easily.
The horses are an interesting point of frustration for me so far. One, I think they act differently than the single-player game. They're way easier to spook. So they're always kicking you off when there's gunfire, even if you've bonded to level 4. And they don't seem to calm down. I don't know if that's a bug, but Leo had a horse last night for a good 5 hours that it just was upset the whole time. He could do nothing. He would whisper sweet nothings. He would, like he even went and bought a brush so he could, brush the thing and take care of it. It just did not operate normally. So you're worried about the horse dying, like the horses are going to die.
Yeah.
You can buy insurance. Your first horse you get free insurance for. Mm-hmm. And the insurance, what it does is when your horse does go down, it will slowly build up health and come back, basically.
Okay.
You'll always keep your horse that you buy. But if you're out in the middle of nowhere like I was last night and my horse stumbled on a rock that every other Arabian I've ever had never has a problem with, that horse was dead and I was just stuck there.
Okay.
You know, and I got it back when I eventually walked over to a mission. And once the mission started, I got the new level 1 bond one. My level 4 bond one was dead.
Okay.
So you're always going to constantly be rebonding basically with these things, but it does go a lot faster.
I kind of like the shenanigans that emerge from that, though, because as frustrating as it is, those resulted in some of the funniest moments because they were happening to other people and not me.
Yeah.
But like, for example, this morning, I got on the back of Bertz's horse, and he was like checking email or something. And so I put my pistol up in the air and like shot it several times. And his horse got so easily spooked, he just like, I could make it like walk around. And I feel like that's a recipe for disaster, like especially if you're like near a cliff or something.
Yeah,
You're just like,
Well, yesterday you tried to push me like by walking me off the edge of a cliff, but it like warps you like the other person behind them. So
yeah. I mean, that might be different for the horse, though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you took a running leap at me, too, and fell to your death. That was very satisfying.
You gotta try.
Yeah. I feel like so much of the enjoyment in this game is going to come from just the fact that you're in an open world game dealing with like that complicated control scheme and like the nonsense that emerges from the systems.
Yeah.
It's so good.
I'm not going to play this game for adversarial modes. That's never been my cup of tea with Rockstar games. You know, if I want third-person shooting, I have a lot of places where it's just frankly better controls.
Well, that's what they're pointing. That's what they're doing. That's the only thing they do is shoot each other.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's just not fun. I felt like that was the general temperature yesterday when all of us played that, right?
Yeah,
like
it's an interesting diversion for me, but it'll never be a destination. The destination for me is out in the open with my friends, goofing off, doing random things. And at that, this game is going to excel. And you can see the roadmap. They have so many areas of opportunity here.
Yeah.
You know, like building up the robbery systems and letting gangs, you know, like maybe there's going to be a fur trading expansion where like you can really go all in and I'm just a trapper. I'm just going to like, I can bring a cart and I can just shoot deer and load all the carcasses up and go back to town and make a bunch of money that way. And that's what I like to do.
Yeah. And there's also like, if you don't love online multiplayer sort of stuff, I feel like there's still merit if you love like Red Dead and like going into that world and exploring, because there's still like stories in there that are like, Bert's brought up like, oh, characters from Red Dead 2, minor characters
and
like play it. Yeah. And Red Dead play a bigger role in online, but there are also like secrets and really cool stuff. Particularly there's one out there in the Southwest region. If you love the original Red Dead, you should explore there. So it feels like there's already stuff there that's also like the foundation for some really cool stuff, even if you don't like online, but you're a fan of the series.
So they do push you to like posse up with some random people at the very beginning through the tutorial. But after that, how much of it have you found you can do solo?
A fair amount.
You can almost do everything solo.
Okay.
I did free roam missions by myself, and I didn't really have a problem.
Same
it's actually
here.
like you get a little bit more money because you're not splitting the bodies with everybody else.
Cool.
I find it scales pretty easily. I'm curious when we get 7 how those sorts of missions scale.
Yeah. I'm kind of curious if it's going to do the same thing as GTAO, where eventually like all the expansions are going to be geared towards people who are only playing multiplayer with a set group, where it's just like, because some of those heists in GTAO are impossible. Like you literally can't do them with like randos or
Well, the problem with randos is they always back out if you fail.
Yep.
You know, like that's the problem.
Yeah, like
you can do them if people would just stick
Technically.
around and, you know, stick with it.
But like that's not the internet. Like you
No.
need to reasonably like do any of the content, you're going to need like a dedicated group of players, and I think that's kind of unfortunate for like long tail stuff. So I kind of hope they have like at least like an option, like, you know, because, you know, as nice as it would be to like play throughout the year and next year with you guys, like I'm sure that's not going to happen. Like it's just not going to be the case because
We'll be on reviews. They're not
yeah.
always going to be available at the same time.
And, you know, I'm sure there are folks out there who want to experience that content but don't have like a social circle that's, you know, invested in the game in the same way. So I hope they accommodate that better than they did with GTAO at least.
Yeah, I know it sounds weird. You know what I'd love, and you kind of hinted at it a little bit here, and I know they may or may not be doing something along this line. But you know, once they define like when you know how many people are in your world or how many, I love the idea of it being a little bit of a settler fight. If you could really get it to that point where, like, you know, a posse can move in and you can be like, there's a gold mine, there's this, there's that you can kind of like compete with growing, like almost like your own little towns. Do you know what I mean? That you could do down the line would make it pretty satisfying. You could be like, all right, you need to be the sheriff.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? While we're away, and make sure nothing goes wrong with our town. I mean, you could really, you could do a lot of interesting things if you can get the world right. And that's difficult, obviously.
And they have more than enough real estate for that too.
Yeah.
Like it's just there's so much wilderness there. That'd be a really exciting thing, just to like actually plant a town near one of those rivers and just grow it out. It'd be so cool.
It would be. I mean, because that's those old, Western, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, the McCoys, they got the river and we're going to take it back, and that's, if you can capture that, that would be, phenomenal. It sounds like they're on the path, certainly.
Yeah. I think what I want the most, though, is just straight up Stardew Red Dead. Like, let me make a farm somewhere, grow some crops, because that's what's going to bring people in. Like, my partner wants to play the game, but she doesn't really like the shooting stuff. Like, she's just like, no, I want to do Stardew in this. I want to have my own farm and stuff. And I feel like if they like did that, you'd have like a much larger
until an old
audience.
revenge shows up and shoots somebody, and then you got to go back out and take them out, and
then you got to hire some bounty hunters to exact revenge if you don't like the shooting.
Twisted story.
Yeah, like those kind of emergent narratives, the world can support them.
Yeah.
It's like, can the infrastructure? That's the question. And in general, I think it's worth pointing out, GTA Online, when it started, it was rough.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
We were playing on PS4. I hear Xbox had some problems yesterday, but generally, like, we didn't have a lot of fail states. We didn't, like, there was a couple things that would go wrong, but, like, for a first day, it was a pretty solid first day.
Remember, keep the caveat in mind.
Yeah,
like,
it's a smaller group of the Ultimate Edition people.
Fully expecting Friday, just server crashes. I think that's what's going to happen. But I want to be wrong. I'd love to be wrong, but I feel like we were eased into it because of lower numbers.
It also seemed to move quicker in and out of activities than GTA Online ever did.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Well, that's great. It sounds like a lot of fun. Is there any kind of last thing that you'd like people to know about Red Dead?
If you see Jeff Cork out there, don't play with him. Just shoot him on sight.
I've got a lasso. I'm not afraid to use it.
That was just a clip from a larger show called The Game Informer Show. You can find it on iTunes, Google Play, or GameInformer.com. We take the fun opportunities and exclusive information from Game Informer magazine and boil it into a show that airs every Thursday with exclusive cover story information, developer interviews, a lot of fun stuff. So come love games with us.